Welcome to Corrections Mama 27 channel. Thanks for watching the video. So this video is about a thief. Okay, this is a radio thief. So let's get into it. This particular inmate was at RAST. He was a SMI, a seriously mental illness. They call them SMIs. So when I refer to SMI, you know what that means. Seriously mentally ill. This guy had like this weird fetish thing with radios. So this inmate, we have these like traps. They slide in and out. And we put like, and there's also a close, it'll close. But most people just leave it pushed out and they'll just throw keys and radios in them, and then officers will reach in the trap and get the keys and radios that are assigned out to them. So Officer Jones has been posted in briefing, and so everybody gets a radio and keys, you know, if you need that. Sometimes the radios and keys are in the control rooms already and they stay there and never leave, and then there are other keys and radios that don't. Different yards do it differently. So Officer Jones would come up to main control, which would have all the keys and radios, and they have a bunch of other equipment and stuff that get checked out. So they would go up to main control and say, I'm a yard set, I need key set 15 or 27 or whatever. And then they would check it out to them and give them a key and then give them a radio. Men control was a post that I liked to work, especially later in my career when I was like sick and tired of dealing with inmates all the time. I would enjoy men control because I would just, you know, check out keys and radios, and you have to do a journal and you watch the cameras and you watch the radio traffic, and then you know, do your journal and you record ICSs, and it's a lot. It's a whole lot. Like, you have to be a multitasker, but we'll talk about that post on another video. So sometimes I get a little distracted, but anyway, I just kind of want to give you a background and an understanding how this kind of works. And so this inmate would, you know, maybe he would be in the hall on his way to a class or to a group or to therapy, or I don't know. Or maybe he would just be in the pod, you know. But this guy would, they had like other traps. Some of them had a wire mesh on them, but some of them didn't. And he would like reach in there and get the radio. He would reach in there with, if you weren't paying attention, he would always wait. He would always like pay attention to the officers that weren't paying attention, that were busy, distracted, or left their radio in the trap, or maybe an officer put the radio in the trap or put the radio in the opening there, and the control officer will then, when they're done on the phone or whatever it is that they're doing, they're going to pick that radio up, but they don't always do it right away. So if they're not paying close attention, this guy would reach in and just take the radio. He would take the radio. This happened one time in Texas too, I remember. I'll do another video on that. So this guy would take the radio, and he did this all the time. He did it, this was his thing. He would steal a radio out of a trap, or maybe if an officer didn't have like a thing on his radio thing that clipped it down, this inmate would just walk by and just pull it out of their radio case. Because it didn't have some of them have like a elastic thing and a snap, you know, that kind of holds it in there or whatever. And you would just put it in there and use it when you needed it. Some people had one sit there and they had the thing go up their back and they had it clipped here. It was like, you know, where you could just do like this instead of holding the whole radio, the mic. So anyway, this guy made a habit of stealing radios, and he would just, and People all the time will take their radio and just throw them in traps, turn them in before they go, and then sometimes a control officer, it's very busy, they don't have always time to immediately stand there and be pulling them in and stuff. But if this guy was in the area, forget it, it's gone. He would take the radio, and then he would call an ICS, Incident Command System, and he would call an ICS and he would say, this is inmate Sticky Fingers, and we have a radio. I have a radio. Inmate has a radio. And he would just call an ICS on himself, so he would pay attention to how officers would do ICSs. And then he would say he was calling an ICS because he stole a radio and he wants to know what we're going to do about it. So the officer would come and go to find out where he was. First of all, they'd have to find out where he was. Sometimes they didn't know where he was. He could be in the shower, hiding in there, or he could be in the pod where he's assigned, or he could have gone back to his cell. Or what if he stole it and he's in the chow hall right now? Or well, typically he probably wasn't in the chow hall because he was a max inmate. He was close custody. So he would call an ICS on himself, and then the officer would go to his housing area, wherever he was, and say, hey man, come on man, give me the radio, come on man, you're gonna get Officer Jones in trouble here, and Officer Jones is a good officer, and you're just messing with him, dude. And of course, you know, a couple F words would fly here and there, and he would say, come on, give me the radio, and he'd say, no, come and get it, no, come and get it. Like, he wanted he wanted a fight, he wanted some interaction, I guess. This guy was also kind of sad in a way because he would try to hang himself all the time. He would try to hang himself. And my husband actually had saved his life twice. And yeah, so yeah, he was nuts. But they would have to go and get the radio from him. And so how did they get the radio from him? How did they get the radio from the inmate? Well, if he was in his cell, they would pepper spray him. Usually, sometimes they would give the other inmate an opportunity to come out and say, dude, do you want to come out? Because you know how this is going to go. It ain't going to go good. Put your hands in the thing, we'll cuff you up, or whatever. He didn't always have a cellmate, though. There were times, because he was seriously mentally ill, that he didn't. But anyway, so more times than not, they would pepper spray him. And he never really got used to the pepper spray as often as they sprayed him. But, you know, it still affected him. Some people can become immune to it and just learn how to deal with it easier, which happened to me. But he never really got used to it, but he did expect that he would be sprayed, and he just put up with it because, I don't know why he did this shit. I think it was because it was entertaining to him. I'm not sure. But he would steal a radio. Dude, if he stole my radio, I would be like embarrassed. That would be like so embarrassing. I'd be like, what? You know, and then I'm sure the supervisors are looking at you like, dude, what the heck? You can't even keep your own radio. You can't keep track of your own radio. And if it's your job to keep track of radios, like main control and who's got them and sign them in and sign them out, pretty sure they gotten written up or gotten in trouble or were under 601, which is a administrative investigation. Yeah, so this guy, let me check my notes, see if there's anything else. No, that's it. That's it. This guy was just had a fetish with radios, and he would steal them every time he got a chance. I mean, I know before this, I would have never thought, oh, I better be careful and not leave this radio. I mean, you don't leave it out. But if it's in the trap, you would think it would safe. that it wouldn't, I mean, because you just wouldn't think an inmate would steal a radio. So anyway, it didn't happen to me, and I'm sure after it happened for a while, people got to understand that you had to keep a closer track of your radio. I mean, thank God it wasn't a key. What if it was keys or something? I guess that would be a total breach of security, and they would have to change all the locks. It'd just be a nightmare, but I guess he kind of knew which envelope to push and which one not to. And keys are usually more secure anyway. They're like on a snap hook on your belt, and so they're pretty hard. Some people would put them on their radio antennas, which, you know, good way to lose your keys. I always had a snap thing on my belt, and I used to put them on there. If I was in the control room, sometimes I would have the keys on the radio antenna, but I really didn't like that because those big skeleton keys and stuff. You go grab your radio and they're knocking around and hitting you in the knuckles and stuff. Yeah. So anyway, that's the story about the guy that would steal officers' radios. And he would get in trouble, sure. He would get pepper sprayed, sure. But, you know, what are they going to do to this guy? He was seriously mentally ill. And he's already in the highest custody level that you can get. So he probably doesn't have any property. He probably don't have squat. So, you know. So he had nothing to lose. So he didn't care. He was just entertained, I guess. Anyway, end of a silly, crazy story. And please, if you like the video, please like, subscribe. Feel free to send your comments. Now be nice. And share.